Your stomach rumbles as you stare into the growing darkness, waiting for the hunters to return with meat. The cold night air bites at your skin. But for 99% of human history, this was not a desperate or helpless wait. Modern pop culture has fed you a massive evolutionary lie. The myth that big, muscular men with spears carried all the weight is rejected. But 100,000 years ago, it was the women, the grandmothers, and the children who actually kept your ancestors from going extinct. To understand how they did this, you have to look at what the fossil record and modern archaeology actually reveal about prehistoric daily life. For decades, scientists focused heavily on the dramatic stone weapons left behind by male hunters. You have been conditioned by movies to believe that without hunters bringing home a massive mammoth, your entire tribe would quickly starve to death. But imagine a scenario where the hunting party fails. They track an animal for days but return completely empty-handed. What actually happens to you? If you lived in a modern city today and the grocery stores suddenly emptied out, absolute panic would set in within 24 hours. Yet, in the Paleolithic era, your female ancestors didn't panic at all. They simply picked up their simple wooden digging sticks and went to work. The rest of the camp reliably secured the most stable food sources available, while the men were miles away chasing highly unpredictable prey.
Together we work.
Thank you for the nuts. Anthropologist Richard Lee discovered that among modern foragers, women gatherers actually provide over 70% of the. You are not surviving the night because a man threw a spear. You are surviving because a grandmother knows exactly which roots to dig. This invisible gathering network is the primary reason your species survived. But finding food is only one part of the terrifying howl echoes through the cave, but you do not face the dark alone. You turn around and see history's most formidable defense system. Today, a modern parent raising a newborn in a completely isolated apartment often faces severe exhaustion, overwhelming anxiety. But raising offspring completely alone was basically a death sentence in the Paleolithic era. Your ancestors survived. Renowned anthropologist Sarah Blaffer-Hrdy revealed that human mothers never raised children by themselves. Just look at the grandmothers. In the animal kingdom, most females die soon after they lose the ability to reproduce. But human women are different. This brings us directly to the famous grandmother hypothesis. These wise elder women were the absolute ultimate. While young mothers recovered or nursed their infants, grandmothers worked tirelessly. They immediately freed up the younger women, completely ensuring that children received constant care and protection. Modern society constantly tells you that sheer independence is true strength. You are fully expected to carry all your heavy burdens without asking for help. But evolution specifically designed your ancient brain and body to depend completely on a tight-knit community. The modern man panics entirely because he wrongly thinks he must fight the wilderness alone. He completely lacks the invisible social safety net of the past. In your ancient prehistoric camp, calories were aggressively and equally shared. If someone found a rich source of berries, the selfishness was always quickly punished. Secretly hoarding food meant you would be cast out of the tribe, which firmly guaranteed a swift and lonely death. This brilliant collective shield of strong women, curious children, and wise elders kept humanity alive through. But sharing gathered food is relatively easy when things are quiet. What exactly does this physically fragile group do when a massive predator actually attacks? You stare into the terrifying yellow eyes of a massive apex predator. You don't have a high-tech rifle, and the male hunters are miles away. Modern survival movies suggest that without heavily armed men, your fragile group would simply panic, scatter into the dark, and be instantly eaten alive.
But you do the exact opposite.
The women and elders immediately reach into the campfire, pulling out thick, blazing wooden branches to form a wall. Anthropologists understand that fire was not just for cooking. In the hands of a fiercely united tribe, it became a highly effective, blinding weapon. The predator expects you to run. In nature, fleeing instantly triggers the chase instinct. But your ancestors stood there. The grandmother steps forward, aggressive, thrusting a burning heat bright spark toward. However, fire was only the first layer of defense. To break the predator's nerve completely, your tribe deploys a second, entirely biological weapon. Researchers studying human evolution suggest that synchronized group noise signals immense collective strength. A modern person might scream alone in sheer panic, which to a wild animal only sounds like a dying prey begging to be quickly put out of its misery. But the united roar of your prehistoric family echoes through the valley like thunder. the massive predator hesitates, lowering its ears. It realizes that attacking this terrifying, loud, the giant shadow slowly backs away and disappears into the freezing night. You survived the encounter without a single stone spear ever being thrown. This absolutely shatters the myth of the helpless prehistoric woman. Your community's tight social cohesion was literally the most advanced weapon on Earth. The campfire slowly burns down as dawn finally breaks. But while you survived the night, morning sun rises, but the modern world brings a completely different kind of brutal survival. You are no longer running from wild prehistoric beasts. Instead, you are trapped in a phenomenon scientists call an evolutionary mismatch. Your ancient biology is completely out of sync with your modern daily life. Today, society expects you to raise children and manage a household almost entirely by yourself. When you feel completely overwhelmed, exhausted, and close to a mental breakdown, society quietly tells you that it is simply your own personal failure. But your biology strongly disagrees. The crushing anxiety you feel when raising a child alone is not a weakness. It is a biological alarm bell. For hundreds of thousands of years, being separated from your tribe meant certain death. Your brain still fundamentally believes that other. Anthropologists note that in prehistoric foraging, the grandmother, the aunts, and the older children all shared the heavy burden of childcare equally. It literally took an entire village. Your ancestors successfully survived the harshest environments on Earth precisely because they never attempted to carry the crushing weight of survival all alone. But today, the modern nuclear family strips away that essential prehistoric safety net, leaving you completely exposed. The modern human tries to buy convenience to replace the tribe, ordering food and hiring help. But your DNA still expects a large, noisy, highly supportive network of familiar faces. Without that ancient tribal network, your body's stress hormones constantly flood your system, severely disrupting your sleep, and so you are not broken. You are just a prehistoric human desperately trying to survive in a strange, highly unnatural modern concrete jungle. But if we cannot literally time travel back to the Paleolithic era, how do you successfully satisfy this deep biological need for a tribe today? Hi, welcome to the tribe. Wow. Hello, everyone.
We're here to build something new.
I'm so glad you're here. Evolutionary psychologist Robin Dunbar discovered that your brain is physically hardwired to maintain stable, meaningful relationships. Today, you might have thousands of digital followers on social media, but your primitive brain still feels completely isolated. If to survive modern burnout, you must stop trying to be an independent superhero. You have to actively ask for help, just like your ancestors did. When neighbors share childcare duties or friends bring over cooked meals, your nervous system immediately recognizes this. This simple act of communal sharing instantly lowers your toxic stress hormones and releases deep biological signals, telling thousands of generations human females and elders were never the weak links of the camp. They were the absolute unbreakable backbone of human existence. They transformed gathering simple roots, cracking animal bones, and singing loudly in the dark into the most powerful evolutionary. So the next time you feel completely exhausted while managing your modern life, remember that you were never designed to carry that massive weight alone. Reach out to your friends, lean heavily on your family, and build your own protective circle. Your survival has always depended on the collective group. The blazing campfire of your ancestors was never just a tool for cooking meat. It was the ultimate center of a life-saving human network. You do not need a sharp stone spear or a massive mammoth carcass to prove that you are strong enough to survive the harsh wilderness. You only need to remember the brilliant, cooperative survival strategies coded deep inside your DNA by the women and elders who came before you. Because true human power is not found in the solitary hunter, but in the unbreakable bonds of the people sitting together around the warm fire. Your stomach rumbles. With your tribe, you have already saved yourself.